Students. This week we'll talk about advertising. Most of these notes are from the textbook, but I'm going to also add my own insights and experiences to give you a little bit of context. Advertising back in the day when there were only newspapers and magazines before radio. Newspapers and magazines were some of the richest organizations, companies in the United States because of advertising. However, as we've seen, that's changed. And while newspapers, magazines, and television still make most of their revenue through advertising, the digital disruption has stolen a large portion of their profits. According to Vox.com in 2018, more than 40% of the world's advertising money will have been spent online. It's 2022 now. I'm sure that number is over 50%. In fact, I know it's over 50% now. John Wanamaker from Philadelphia, before digital advertising, once famously said, "I know that half my advertising budget is wasted. I don't know which half." This is when he was primarily advertising in newspapers and magazines. If he were alive today and used digital advertising, he would know because digital advertising can be measured based on engagement. Digital advertising is cheaper, more targeted, and can be measured in terms of engagement and dollars spent. Some of the differences and similarities of writing ad copy between other forms of media. Primary difference is that you're writing to persuade and motivate, not necessarily to inform. This is a little bit different. Some call it shady because you are writing to try to convince somebody to buy the product. We'll go into a little bit more of the shadier aspects in a little bit. Advertising uses more creativity, but often has less social impact. As journalists, right, we know that we make a difference. We report on what we're doing. We hold organizations accountable. Advertising, you're trying to sell something. Now, if you're advertising for a nonprofit, that might be a little bit different. But normally, most of us get into this business because we want to make a difference. Normally, once we start having a mortgage and we want to have a nice place to live, advertising pays a lot more than traditional journalism. Trust me. Some similarities, though, include accuracy, clarity, efficiency, and precision, always using as few words as possible. Another similarity is the process. What we do is we conduct research as advertisers, as ad copywriters. We conduct research, decide what information is most important, decide what words to use, and decide on which platform and what structure we want to use. We capitalize on human beings' needs and appeals. In 1943, psychologist Abraham Maslow came up with a theory of human needs. Advertisers capitalized on this theory, asking the question, how can we make people want something they need? That's one question. But additionally, advertisers ask, how can we make people believe they need something when they don't really need it? Right? Have we ever watched an ad and said, wow, I could really use that, even though we have no use for it? Writing advertising copy starts with identifying and examining these human needs and desires. We have food and drink, sex, intimacy, social contact, independence, privacy, self-fulfillment, and power, stimulation, acquisition. These are some basic needs and appeals. And we convince our audience that our product will satisfy one or more of those needs or appeals, right? The product. We want to understand the product before writing the copy. And we want to understand the purpose, right? The purpose not only of the product, but the purpose of the ad. We also want to understand the physical characteristics of the product, the history of the product, who makes the product, the brand, the price, and we also want to know who we are in competition with so maybe we can differentiate up a little bit. We also have to understand the audience. Some ads are directed to an audience who already bought the product. This kind of just reinforces their idea. Automakers do this a lot because you're not buying a car every year unless you're really rich. Some ads are directed to an audience who are likely to buy the product. So how can we figure out who is who and what they want and need? Advertisers use demographics and psychographics. Demographics divides groups into obvious characteristics: age, location, education, gender, income, marital status, etc. Psychographs in advertising use VALs, which are values and lifestyles. So while demographics might use location or an education level, psychographics will use values and lifestyles, hobbies, etc. The advertising situation. This is from the textbook. Some common ad objectives. The ad should make people aware of the product. The ad should, have you ever watched an ad and you're not really clear what's being advertised? That's a problem. So make people aware of the product and what the product is. The ad should change, if necessary, people's attitudes toward the product. For example, when Volkswagen got caught in that huge scandal, they had to kind of change people's attitude about the Volkswagen brand. The ad should tell consumers of the product's improvements. The ad should encourage people to shift from buying another product to buying this product, which is why you see so many compare and contrasts in the advertisements that we see on television. Some copy platforms. We provide the copywriter with information necessary to write the ad. So as a copywriter, you might just get a copy platform which gives you as much information as you need and the purpose. So the copy platform includes the ad subject, the ad problem, the product characteristics, the advertising objective, the target market, the competition, statement of benefit or appeal, the creative theme, and the supportive selling points. So once you have that platform, you can go ahead and start writing the ad. We want to decide on the platform and audience. Are we doing an audio ad? Are we doing a television ad? Are we doing a print ad? Are we doing a billboard? We use the ADA approach, right? Which is attention, interest, desire, and action. We want to gain attention to the product. We want to generate interest. We want to create desire for the product, and we actually want somebody to go out and buy the product, right? So a couple of suggestions when you're trying to do all those things. Use clear, simple language, pay attention to verbs, be specific, but only the most important details. You don't want to overwhelm the consumer with every single detail, just the most important ones. Be as precise as possible. Use pronouns. Unlike news writing, second person, the second person you can be used very effectively in advertising. We can use contractions because the language is a little bit more informal. We want to inspire product confidence in the product and the advertiser, and give the audience all the information they need in order to go out there and get the product. For example, where to buy it. The elements of a print ad, we have the illustration, usually, sometimes, not always. And then we have a headline, we have a subhead, we have the body copy, we have closings, right? You see this a lot at the bottom of ads, right? Mandatories, right? Which a company might say, I want you to include the history of the company, like a sentence or two. Then you have legals, right? For example, if it's pharmaceutical, there's going to be certain things that the FDA is going to require you to put underneath the ad. For example, if you're taking some kind of medication, they might say this could cause vomiting, nausea, etc. Then you have slogans, logos, and signatures, which are, different companies. A Nike ad might always have the symbol and might always have just do it beneath whatever. Tools of broadcast ads, we have voices, sound effects, music, pictures, visual effects on broadcast. Commercial formats, two different kinds, usually dramatic and announcer formats. Dramatic formats include problem resolution. You walk in, you have an extension cord and it's all tangled up. We see this all the time. So that's a problem. Somebody has an extension cord holder that makes it so that you don't get them tangled up. We have slice of life. You see this with a lot of different detergents and different foods. Somebody comes home from work, they want to get a quick dinner for the kids, that kind of stuff. We also have documentary demonstration, right? Somebody demonstrating the product. We also have fantasy, where something might be a little bit magic realism. And then for announcer formats, we have a spokesperson, sometimes a famous person, testimonial, somebody who has used the product, or an anonymous announcer voiceover over some kind of demonstration of the product. Now, online advertising, it's more specific, it's more interactive, and it has more accountability. We have some banner ads which go across the top, sidebar ads which come across the side. Then we have pop-up ads, which, as we know, when we're trying to read a great article, sometimes they come up. We have also advertorials, which are kind of written as content, plugged into like Huffington Post, or The Atlantic was doing advertorials for a while. But the problem with advertorials is sometimes they appear as if they are in the article. So what needs to happen, what publications need to do in order to protect their reputation, is they need to say sponsored content or something like that to let the audience know that this is not reporting, this is actually an ad. So a couple of suggestions for online advertising. Use as few words as possible. Describe the benefits of the product. Provide tools, most likely links, to access more information and the buying options. So it's just a little overview of advertising. It is how many media organizations make a living by providing advertising space. It's also a good way to make a living if for some reason you want to transfer from other forms of news writing. All right, so keep up the good work, and we'll see you soon.